Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of The Think Tank. I have my colleague and friend Sheel Saket. Hi Sheel, welcome to the podcast and thanks for joining us.
Hi Angad. Hello everyone, and thanks Angad for having me here.
Yeah, so I'll just give you some background of Sheel. So Sheel has done masters in data science and machine learning from Northwestern University. He is a BTech graduate from NIT, quite reputed college in India. And then he is working as a senior manager data science in one of the most reputed organization, fintech organization. So Sheel, I'll start from the question like how you got into the data science and machine learning world. What was the inspiration? Because I know after your college you also had a startup in India. So how you got motivated to get into US and then start working on data science and machine learning?
Yeah, sure. So it was a very, not like a very confirmed journey that I had like in my mind. I actually had no idea about data science when I started my career. I started off as a civil engineer. So as during the introduction, you mentioned that I graduated. I did my undergrad from NIT Jamshedpur, and I graduated as a civil engineer from there. So, and then after that, I joined, Tata, which is a big company in India. I joined there as a civil engineer. I worked there for some time, but at that time, I realized that even though civil engineering is a very reputed field and a lot of people are very passionate about it, but I figured out that there was something that was not inspiring me in that particular field, and I was not very sure about whether I wanted to build my career over there. Not that civil engineering is not a great field. It's just that I couldn't fit myself in that kind of a role. So that's where I started having conversations with my friend, and my friend had a very good idea about a startup. So we together started working on it. I was working, so I was bringing in some money, and he was like full time into that. And we started this company called claymango.com. And then I worked there, on the side initially while working in Tata so that I had the balance. And then slowly I realized that, I was doing more of the tech work over there, like, building dashboards and tracking metrics like sales and all. And then and I'm talking about back in 2013 and 14. So data science was not very cool at that time, and everything was, we used to use R, not Python. Like Python wasn't even like very, popular at that time, but it was like picking up. So I started working on R. We had a good amount of data at that time. Like we had around, I think 10,000 customers by that time. So there was a good amount of data. I wanted to explore, wanted to build charts. And then I realized like I actually was working on that project till 3 a.m. in the morning. And I didn't even realize that it's too late for me to like sleep. So that's when it hit me that, I think I'm really passionate about this field, and I couldn't, when you lose track of time while working, that means, you are really enjoying it. So that's when I thought I should pivot. And then I started working on analytics, making my analytics stronger, working on R programming. And then at that time, around 2016, I got to know from a couple of my friends who were in the US at that time, from NIT. They were actually in the US. They told me about, data science and Python, and that's when I thought I should, take it up as a, as a new next career option, because I was really passionate about it. And I came to the US, joined Northwestern, which that's what I'm wearing right now, the sweatshirt from Northwestern. So I joined Northwestern for my masters, and at Northwestern they have a very good startup culture where you can basically create, start your own company. And there's a very reputed college in Northwestern called Kellogg School of Management. So I took a couple of courses over there. Met a friend who wanted to start his own company at Kellogg. And Northwestern provides a lot of resources to start your company. They gave us like a office space, $5,000 of AWS credits. So we were like doing a lot of research at that time, and that's where most of the projects that we were working on were related to natural language processing. So when I entered data science professionally, NLP was the first project that I was working on. And that's where I didn't even work on any other project apart from NLP. So that's how my career started at around 2017, professionally as a natural language processing, data scientist. And I started off with the basic classification models to classify, an article online into a sports article or some different type of articles. We had some categories we had to predict, and then we were building a product which would recommend articles to Kellogg students that based on their interest what you should read every day, right? So we were building that, and that's where I started. And then I again joined a startup in after graduating from Northwestern. I joined a startup called Cubes, where I was again doing NLP, and then I joined Discover after that, where I was like leading an NLP team, and now I'm at FIS, where I'm leading a advanced AI NLP team.
Yeah, that's quite a journey, Sheel.
Yeah.
Like, and the great part is like whether you are graduated in civil engineering or like I have so many colleagues who are graduated in electronics or mechanical, and later they came into data science and machine learning, and I'm quite surprised the way they picked it up. Right, like it's
Yes.
more like your mind, your interest should be there in analytics, data, understanding the
Yes.
data to start with, and then gradually comes where you start building model, you start playing with various technologies, and then you understand the difference you can make. The next question, Sheel, which I want to ask is, you talked about natural language processing, and this podcast, I'm trying to focus more on the natural language processing. So when I talk about language, right, like it's the spoken language which we humans started speaking first, and then we started writing like early Mesopotamian civilizations, Harappan civilizations. And then gradually came the digital era, right? Like digital era, post 80s, post 90s, where everything is now digital.
Yes.
And then there was a science that how we can interpret the language which is there, how we can interpret that language, and how we can make the decisions out of it. And when I say we make the decisions out of it, it was a journey. Like it was rule based, where you are using regular expression or regex kind of, or just getting into the rules of unstructured data. And then came statistical based models. Then came LSTMs, RNN, deep learning based, and now we have attention based, which is transformers, right? Like it was quite a journey. So how do you see this evolution in the world of NLP
Yes.
as an enthusiast?
Yeah, that's very interesting because when I started working on NLP, the one thing that really fascinated me was that I was teaching a computer, which is definitely a non-living thing, just working on some electric signals and just processing it and teaching it the language of humans. Right? Even though when I started, I was just doing like basic classification. The model was reading a piece of text and telling me it's like a sports article or not. And from there, I think when I joined Discover back in 2018, I started working on chatbots where I was actually making conversations with the computer. So, it kind of really fascinated me because, image processing and other types of, data science fields are very interesting. But, the kind of variations and the kind of challenges you have with natural language of human, because, there's so many languages that humans speak collectively, right? And then there are different dialects and different pronunciations. There's so many variations that it's very difficult for, at that time, it was very difficult to even imagine that there will be a model someday that can, understand everything. And language is very complicated as well, right? Because conversation, like we are having right now, a conversation, right? We can go back and forth to different topics, and our brains can understand references. So these things were very challenging, right, for a model to understand. And as you rightly explained, the progression that it started off with regular expressions where it's like a hard-coded approach where you can you have to create an expression and the computer will go and figure out those and from there it actually went towards a little bit of machine learning, then came deep learning, and then all those RNN, LSTM models, and now we have transformers, and today is the era of large language models. So the whole transition has been very interesting. And I think, the AI thing that, we talk about on a daily basis that, AI is going to take over the world. It cannot, do anything if it doesn't understand the natural language of humans. So now when we have these large language models, now people are like thinking that, oh, now computers are becoming very smart. Even though there was a good amount of advancement that was done in, face recognition. Face recognition has been optimized and have achieved its, perfection, I think, to a great extent, even before NLP actually picked up, right? But NLP was like the last piece which was missing for the, AI, the great AI that is going to take over the world. And I think this is the transition that we see right now. It's very interesting, and interestingly, like I have been working in NLP since 2017. Like professionally, full time, and in the last 6 years, I actually was fortunate to see the change that happened from RNNs to the transformer models, and it was very interesting to be a part of that change. And the things that we can do right now, the models that we can build, the use cases that we can build and deploy, and also not just NLP, right? Like one of the very important backbones today is the advancement in cloud engineering. Today we can not just train models, we can deploy it in a few seconds, right? I can build a model and expose that model as an endpoint and ask someone from India or China to hit that URL and get the prediction. And I can just do it from my home, right? So these things have collectively pushed the accelerator button for AI to advance, and it's very interesting, very exciting, the kind of things you can do today. So, it's very interesting.
Yeah, so that's really fascinating, like the way you talked about the cloud computing. And 2017, like it's very interesting year because in 2017 we had this research paper, Attention is All You Need.
Yes.
I think it was quite a revolutionary research paper, and we all talk about Chat GPT, and we all talk about how Chat GPT is making a difference. But I think the breakthrough, the real breakthrough, was done by that research paper. Attention is All You Need. And I was just going through some articles, like in Chat, in the GPT 3.5 and in GPT 4. It's not only large language model, but there is also a reinforcement learning human feedback layer, because the way it's answering, right? The way it's answering, it's quite similar to humans. And it seems like a very intelligent human being is sitting on the other side, which is very fascinating because just for the viewers here, so we talk in artificial intelligence, there are three branches, which is ANI, Artificial Narrow Intelligence, AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, and ASI. And we humans are reaching quite near to AGI, which is Artificial General Intelligence. So Sheel, my next question is, what's next now, right? Like we also, like we humans, and we have different kind of attentions now, like we have self-attention, we have multi-head attention, dot attention. How about, like I think we understood from human behavior that attention is very important in a language. To give attention, to listen someone, or even while you are reading something, giving attention to the right, like we humans can't give attention to everything, but we know where is the most important context, and we are giving attention at that layer or that piece. What do you think will be the next major milestone? Would it be consciousness? Do you think consciousness is something like, do you feel the AGI or AI? And what do you see? What is consciousness, first of all? And do you think that AI will reach to human consciousness?
That's a very interesting question. So let me start with attention, okay, and then we can go into consciousness. So just for the viewers who are not much aware of what Angad just mentioned about attention, and we touched upon this topic that when we as humans communicate, we kind of go back and forth to different topics, right?
Yeah.
And when we communicate, we form sentences, and those sentences will have filler words like is, and, the, like, but, right?
Yeah.
But we know that there are certain words that hold more value and have the most amount of information that is needed to be communicated. So that's called attention. Attention is where like a model pays more attention to specific words or phrases in the words and gives more weightage when it is asked to do some kind of a action. So that's what attention means in natural language processing. And that has been the shift from 2017, that before 2017, RNN models, as we all know, was a sequential model where every word would come one by one and then there would be some kind of prediction. But now, like transformers, it knows like which word has more attention and it can ignore, and it doesn't take like one word at a time. It can take like the whole sentence. And that's what we human like do, right? We don't understand conversations by just translating everything, one word after the another. That we take the whole sentence in and then we kind of understand the context. So that's what the model does now with attention. And now, as you mentioned, right, it was back in 2017. There have been like a lot of advancement done. And you also talked about the human feedback, right? And that is very important. And I was actually doing some research about it. Like there are GPT models, which are, the generative models, which can generate, text out of a prompt that has been provided. But what happens is these models are trained on the internet, right? Like from the data which is sitting on the internet. And when you generate, when you send a prompt and it generates an output, that output can be biased. It can respond back in a sentence which can be racist. It can, say something, and there is no control over it, right? Like if you, expose that model to the public and someone asks something, it can respond anything because it is not aware of the fact that what I am responding might have some impact. There might be biases, so there is, I think, I don't know how these models are trained because I think that's proprietary thing that Microsoft and OpenAI, they have it. But there are concepts called Instruct GPT, which is basically where a human feedback is added while training these models. And that is basically a human is instructing the GPT to, respond in a different manner. So that is very important, and that is something which I think is very important when you create these kind of products and open it to the public. That you don't want to in pursuit of automation, we shouldn't end up exposing something which can be we use for negative things, bringing negativity into the world. So it should be more positive and constructive. So I think this is one of the reasons why we have human feedback. And also, you correctly mentioned that, human feedback also adds that extra level of training and, human touch as well, that you feel like you're talking to humans. So that is what is, I think, very important today. And I think that's the next step, making these models less harmful and more useful. That's the next step, I think. And I think most of the companies have already achieved it. And it's why it takes a lot of time to train these models and open it to the public as well. But consciousness, right? Like you also talked about consciousness. So, and I do not claim to be an expert on consciousness because it's beyond my expertise. But I do a lot of reading and I did some research as well because it's very close to the field I'm working in. But there is something called intelligence and there's something called consciousness. We generally think that they are very similar, but what I feel is they're not very similar. You can build something that is intelligent, but to make it conscious, that's a completely different thing, right? So I would say there would someday be another field which is going to be called artificial consciousness. But I think intelligence is an input to something that can be conscious. Right? Cannot be conscious without being intelligent. But I think that's the next step, the next piece of, step on the ladder. But yeah, I mean, artificial intelligence will be the kind of level we have achieved right now. Where like you have Bing and all, like Google coming up with Bard. So there is like an all intelligent model sitting which understands everything, which has all the information. And from there, can you make these machines, conscious as well? Will be definitely the next step. But yeah, it's, this is something I think I'm sure like companies like Google and all are definitely spending time, and we kind of heard the news as well. Like a Google developer kind of mentioned that his model got conscious and started writing on its own. So I don't know whether we are almost there, because I think consciousness is a very complicated topic and it's not easy.
I totally agree, and very rightly put, Sheel. Like it's interlinked, and still they are different fields. And intelligence in itself is a huge spectrum. Like even I do a simple algebra is intelligence, while I solve general relativity is also intelligence, right? The human intelligence is again, and it's not only logical intelligence, but emotional intelligence as well. And compassion, like we as humanity, I feel are losing the compassion part of the intelligence, which is very important for us as humans. So to show all that, a machine should show all that, like, because sometimes when you ask GPT says, okay, I'm not a human, right? I can't answer it. Like it's the compassion which we humans show to each other. Even if we don't know the answer, we try to help each other. We brainstorm and we have that emotional connect with each other. I think that's making us more human. And consciousness, again, like you rightly said, it's like I'm asleep versus I'm awake, or I'm self-aware. What I am, like I am my own entity. It's my own universe within me, like we say in our religious texts, especially in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism. I think that also has a part in consciousness. So coming to the spirituality part, do you believe in spiritual part as well? And do you think that the consciousness and the language and the intelligence also, as we humans as spiritual beings, also have some link to it, which can help in helping these fields better?
Yes, definitely. Like I feel, I don't consider myself a very religious guy, but I feel like spirituality is something which I can relate to, definitely. Like I feel like this component of spirituality does exist, and at least within me, I think myself as a spiritual. And I think, the one thing which I really like about spirituality versus religion is that spirituality doesn't consider to have the complete knowledge, right? It is open to feedback, and it is open for conversation. It's basically the process of learning, and then first accepting that you don't know everything, right? And that's what even science is, right? Science is about, like, I know only this much, and there's like a whole universe that I don't know, have no idea about. But from what I already know, I'll take one step at a time and start increasing my horizon of knowledge. And that's what we do, right? We build certain theories, formulas, and these concepts, and then based on that we prove something new, right? Or something new comes out of somewhere, and we kind of expand our horizon and understand. But we still know that, like, for example, science will, like, not just science, I'm saying, like, scientists will not have any shame or anything in saying that we don't know what's there in the center of a black hole, right? Like, nobody knows. There can be wild theories and very interesting ideas backed with certain scientific concepts, but you cannot know what's going on over there. As of now, we have no idea, but there are still a lot of experiments are going on where we can mimic what's going on in a black hole on Earth, where you have that CERN laboratory and all, where you can do that, but you cannot figure out like what's there. So I think spirituality is a very similar thing, but not like very scientific, but not like science, but it's something that you kind of think within yourself, ask questions and communicate. And spirituality, as you said, like language, conversation, right? Like we all learn and evolve in our lives based on our experiences. I might have seen something, experienced something, and I have a different perspective of life, right? And similarly for you, like you must have experienced something very different. And then when we communicate, we kind of share our ideas, right? And then we kind of share our experiences. So from there, we kind of bring that collective knowledge. And I'm talking about now, let's say for a society, the collective knowledge of a society that comes in. And then we kind of explore those uncharted territories, like what's going on, what's there, why do we even exist, right? These kind of questions come in, and there might not be a scientific answer for that, but we can definitely form spiritual concepts out of it. I don't know, but it's very vague right now for me at least. But I think there is some spiritual part of our existence. Definitely we all are connected to each other, even though we have formed our own physical existence, which are separate from each other, but we came from the same thing, like Earth. We all were, we didn't like
exactly. Our origins are same.
Yeah, we were definitely connected somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Like our atoms were created in the center of a star which got exploded. So we actually came from the same stuff. Now we have our individual identity. So I think there is something that is connecting all of us, and we should definitely explore that fact. But let's not
very beautifully put. I think Sheel, you put it very beautifully. Like we all are connected humans, and that's where we can connect with each other emotionally as well. And we have the same roots, and I think that's the base of spirituality. And then the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life, may not be same for everyone, but that's the beauty about humans, is the diversification. Like we have so much diverse answers that makes us more human and not the bots, right? Like every time we won't give the same answer, but based on our, like you rightly mentioned, the evolution which we had and the experiences in life which we had, we will give the answers based on that. So coming from spirituality to more logical or a real-time world where you know a lot of job losses are happening since last 1 year. It's recession, kind of recession. I won't say we are into recession, but kind of slow economic growth since last 1 year almost now. And people have that fear that artificial intelligence, specifically the bot like Chat GPT, right? It will take so many jobs away. So what do you think? Will it be more job loss or will it be more job gains? Like what do you think, how we will balance this evolution? Because I always say that we are in the growth curve of AGI right now. We are at a beginning of the growth curve, I would say. So what do you feel on that?
Yeah, I think
on the job losses.
That's a very interesting question, because I also keep hearing about this. First of all, in this particular economy where you said that the economic growth, the speed has reduced, and there have been a lot of layoffs across tech industry, and there has been we keep hearing about the share market going in the reverse direction, and so many things. Not a very good positive sentiment about market. But in this field, in this time right now, where companies are thinking about restricting their expenses and coming up with strategies to improve their operational efficiency. I think AI is definitely going to play a very important role because there are a lot of decisions that right now needs human input, but that can be automated and can be replaced by AI models. We definitely in AI, that's one of our major things that we particularly do right now in our companies. In different companies, I'm sure everyone is creating these use cases that will automate the jobs right now that will require human input. But that doesn't necessarily mean that people will lose jobs because of AI. And I think this is something that has not just happened right now. It has been happening throughout the human evolution or the industrial revolution, right? There are so many things that used to happen initially by human manually, right? Then machines came in and they kind of took over, and slowly like everything was done by machine. But that doesn't mean that those people remained jobless. People will adapt to the new market. I think that's how it will happen. AI will definitely come and automate certain type of tasks so that people who are actually working on that will adapt to the market and change. But definitely, maybe not the jobs will be lost, but I would say certain tasks will not be required to be done by certain humans, and people will definitely move from one
Yeah,
type of an
exactly. I
occupation
think,
to another.
agree. I think we are moving at a, like, from the perspective of intelligence higher in the pyramid as a human civilization, no longer doing the labor work, but more intelligent work. And it's the
Yes,
business models, right? Like you rightly mentioned, the business models will keep on changing based on
yes,
the new technology or based on the new industries that will keep on coming, and we need to adapt. Like we can't, like, your case is perfect adaptation where you started from civil engineering to startups, and now you are into artificial intelligence,
yes.
working to deploy great models for one of the biggest fintech industry. um, I think that shows that we need to adapt and learn more often so that we don't lose our jobs.
And I would just add, right, one of the most interesting things that I actually realized, I was watching a couple of videos on YouTube by some, learned people, how technology has not only changed how we operate, but versus how it has changed our society. And one of the most important things is, women empowerment, right? Like today, you see all these women on these, top positions in companies and have been joining the workforce across the globe, right? Even in India, there has been a good amount of increase in, women participation in the workforce. But how did it happen? Is it just the education? Or is it because like machines have automated so many tasks that would
Yeah,
require a lot of manual work, which unfortunately maybe women were not able to perform, and that's why they were confined to stay out of those jobs. But now machines take care of that job, and if you take out that muscle part, right, where you need
yeah,
physical activity to be done,
yeah,
I think then everyone becomes same. And that's why you
yeah,
will see a lot of women are coming in and taking all those top positions and becoming leaders today, because now everyone has been leveled, right? It kind of brought the society also to the same level. Uh, so I
exactly.
think there are so many hidden benefits because of technology, and it really fascinates me to see how we are progressing.
Absolutely. There are always pros and cons of any technology that will come in, whether it was assembly line, or whether it was steam engine, or whether it was internet, or whether it is blockchain and artificial intelligence. There will be always pros and cons, and how we humans can adapt more pros and less cons uh,
Yes.
is something which we need to see. One more question. Tell us something about Geeky Dude and your passion on AI blogs. Like, I love your blogs. I see it often on LinkedIn. I'm not on Twitter, but I see
Yeah.
more on LinkedIn. So tell us something like what is the motivation and what kind of blogs you write. as well as for the viewers here, I will put the link of the blog on my YouTube channel if you want to see those blogs.
Yeah, so I have been blogging since 2012. I really, what I feel is like since I was a kid, right? Like I had a huge interest in science and technology. I grew up watching Discovery Channel and Animal Planet and all those things. When I was a kid, I was very excited about the marine life, the aquatic life. I would watch those documentaries on sharks and deep ocean creatures for hours. I would keep watch them on repeat. So I've been very interested in watching all these things, and then I got a huge interest in exploring the space and deep space objects and all those things. I was reading a lot during my childhood. I used to read a lot of books, and then I think when I started working after NIT, I started working for a company as a civil engineer. I thought maybe to keep my interest alive, I started blogging. At that time, it was called as a separate blog name, but then recently, like I thought I should make it more professional, and I started working on this blog called Geeky Dude. But it's not just science and like oceans and deep space, but it's more about AI as well. So I have my blogs has two different verticals. One is Geeky Dude AI and Geeky Dude Science. So, but on the blog you will see everything together, but you can basically go back and forth from one to another. On LinkedIn, that what you see, it's called Geeky Dude AI. So that's where I write a lot of stuff about AI. And why I do that is because sometimes I realize that when I was fixing a bug or when I was trying to create some new feature in a product or coming up with a new POC, I do a lot of research, and that's very random because I jump from one website to another and I take something from here, something from there, and then I add my innovation, optimize it. So I do a lot of work, which is not just confined to me, right? But if I write a blog which is very structured and provides all those references, citations, and explanations to those sources, I can basically help others to understand that concept and maybe save someone time, which it took maybe a couple of days or a week for me to understand. So that's the motivation behind it for AI. There are so many things right now. So many things are changing so fast that it's very difficult for people to keep up to the pace. I'm not saying that people won't be able to do it, but you cannot learn everything. So you might be specialized in one field, but you might need someone's help in the other field. So I kind of try to make things very easy for people to understand, write it in an article and explain it to people. I've got really good feedback from people who have learned something new, and that's the feedback that kind of inspires me to write even more. So I'm not very
So you are also generating some of the natural language by yourself. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And the great part is, Sheel, like I have read your blogs. It's more practical data science because we do have theoretical knowledge available. Like data science is today is much of a buzzword, and we have these theoretical articles, knowledge, architectures available everywhere. But I think the great part about your blogs is it touch into the practicality part, like how we can deploy the model or what challenges you are facing, and based on that you are writing. So that's great.
Exactly. You actually summarized it perfectly, and I'm actually missed upon that. So I don't claim to be an expert that I'll teach you about a concept, but what I will tell people is, and that's what I want to do, is that somebody has explained something as a concept, and I take 5 concepts, and then I build a product, and then I just write about that.
Yeah.
That how can you use this particular package? How can you use this pre-trained model? Combine them, write an algorithm which kind of interacts with all these components, and you can build a product out of it. So that's what I do, and I think there is nothing I think there is left to teach. I think there are so many good teachers and YouTubers out there who are basically sharing knowledge for free, and that is a very important and time-taking task. So I would not want to do that and learn for another couple of years to be able to teach people, but I would rather learn from them, give reference to them, give them the credit, and then basically build something on top of that. So I think practicality, and as a data scientist, you have to be practical because you have to get your hands dirty. The job of data scientist is to build a product or build a particular feature or get insights, right? So that's very important, and I think that's where a lot of people kind of get lost because there's so much of theory to learn that you get confused and get scared, and a lot of people get very excited initially. I know that because a lot of people reach out to me on LinkedIn. They get very excited initially that they know that data science is a very good field. It's an new and evolving field. A lot of companies are now adding more data scientists to their company, to their workforce, and there are a lot of jobs. They're getting well paid, so it kind of creates a buzz, and people start coming in. But then they realize, oh, there is so much to learn. I need to learn coding. I need to learn statistics. There's so many algorithms. There are so many assumptions based behind those algorithms, formulas. So they kind of get very exhausted, right? So, but the job is to not learn everything, but learn a couple of things, start building a product. And when you build something, you realize, oh, I need to learn this as well. Then you go back and learn that. So that is a good way of learning rather than consuming everything in theory and then doing the practical.
Yeah, and that gives you a satisfaction as well because you are exploring as well, right? Like now to make my product, I need this kind of solution. Where can I find it? Like I will go back and search few things. Ultimately, I need most optimized solution for my problem, right? And that's where I think you are leading up to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Sheel, so as you are writing these blogs, any cutting edge research or any practical knowledge you want to share with our listeners here, like anything new which you are right now reading or writing, or anything from the practical perspective as well, like whatever you want.
Like anything random or like which?
Anything like anything okay. Because you, like, I know you are doing so much reading as well as you are writing those blogs with the solutions to the problems which you face, right? So any generic thing you want to share with our listeners?
I was actually reading about this today, like this morning, that how AI is going to be a very important factor in the survival of human species. So again, a very great use case, but way ahead in the future. The problem right now with humans is like, as you must have heard, right? Like Elon Musk said that we are not going to be a single planetary species. We have to be a multi-planetary species. We have to go out of Earth and maybe colonize on Mars. But again, we are just confined to the next neighboring planet. We cannot, as humans, perform those long journeys. Not even just interplanetary, but think about intergalactic, right? Or interstellar journeys, right? From one star to another. So we as humans, we cannot do that. That's beyond our lifetime, right? Like one lifetime is not enough for a person to travel. So how is AI going to do that? Is AI going to be, and I read this somewhere, and I think I saw a couple of videos as well, that AI will, in future, once we have perfected it, will carry the DNAs of human, go to different planets and figure out if that planet is okay for us to survive, or maybe terraform it, make it habitual for humans, and then breed humans over there. So that can be one way of going from one star to another, and that was very fascinating because now it makes sense, right? They will be like taking the seed of next human generation and then planting it there in those planets, who might, and those humans would not even know like how Earth looks like, but the AI would carry all the information so that they will get the learning and knowledge over there, and expand it. So it's very interesting that how in future things will get interesting, and humans will maybe someday populate the galaxy. But that's
Absolutely.
interesting. I mean, that's random. I thought maybe
Yeah,
if
no,
that.
I think that's a very fascinating idea because even to travel, even to travel to intergalaxy travel or even interstellar travel, like it's always a race against time, right? Like,
Yes.
and we humans are mortal, but AI can be something which is not mortal. It can travel through the time, bring and even I won't go to so far like it will change anything, but even if it brings important information back to us as a first step to humanity from those planets, which I think we are doing with Mars already. But it is very fascinating to understand like how AI can bring those right data points, information, real time to us
Exactly.
in future.
But yeah, this was
Uh,
something that trickled my my brain cells, and I was like, oh, this is very interesting. And
yeah,
what if it happens? And there is a very good example. Like if you know about the story of Superman, he came to Earth, and then there was an AI computer which would talk to Superman, which was I think there in North Pole, where he would go and talk to that, and that person was his father. It was his father in an artificial format who would teach him about people at Krypton, and would explain like about the capabilities of Superman, and he would go there and interact. So I think maybe someday
yeah,
humans would populate, and there will be like an AI who will be like sharing on all the knowledge about
yeah. I
Superman.
love these imaginations and science and fiction because
Yes,
sometimes it's like we take it as fun, but it's also give us as a humanity a vision, right? Like this is
yes,
where we can reach in future. Like you talked about Superman, like even before 100 years, even mobile phone, like we can speak in real time with each other, or
yes,
we can see a real time video was like science and fiction. So I'm really
exactly.
intrigued by that idea which you just mentioned. Um,
Yes.
at the end, Sheel, any advice you want to give to our younger generation? Because I know a lot of people are out from colleges. They think, what should we do? Um, Specifically related to AI, because there are so many colleges, institutes, like who are offering these courses, as you know. So, any piece of advice which you want to share with the young generation?
Yeah, I think I already touched upon that, and I think younger generations, especially I would say data science is not only for engineers. Anyone can become a data science if they have a passion or hunger for understanding the data. Yeah, it is definitely data science is all about data. Uh, you should be able to understand what how create stories out of data, right? And I think everyone today, we all are tech savvy people, like especially the younger generation, the Gen Zs and all. They were born into this technology era, right? Like they are very much used to technology than I think we were. So I think anyone can become a data scientist. That's what I tell everyone. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's there in everyone. It's just that don't get scared by all those complicated algorithms. Yes, you have to understand those, but you don't have to learn all the algorithms, right? You can choose a specific area, right? You are passionate about natural language processing, then there are certain algorithms there. If you are interested in maybe face recognition or image recognition or speech recognition, there's so many things in AI that you can do, right? So you have to find what you're interested in, and then start working on projects, because you cannot become a data scientist unless you have run a model, right? Or you know how to code basic stuff, and Python and all. Today you don't have to write a large piece of code, and today again generative AI can basically write codes for you, fix bugs for you. So You just have to be more creative today. There are so many things and there are so many tools and platforms where you can basically learn these things for free. So it's a very interesting field. It's a field where you can come and build something, and that too very quickly. And again, you have today I can basically build a quick website and deploy it in during a weekend based on certain AI model. I can train an AI model and I can deploy it because I have cloud services like AWS and GCP and Azure, which it's very easy. It's plug and play for you to go there and deploy these models. So don't get scared. I know there are so many buzzwords, so many complicated concepts, but it's not that complicated from how it looks like. Just stay motivated, build products. Whenever you will hit a roadblock, go and do the research, and slowly, one after the another, you will realize that you have learned a lot of things, right? But don't try to be an expert on the first day.
Yeah, just to interrupt you, Sheel, people do ask, what should I start first? Should I start with statistics? Should I start with analytics? Should I start with mathematics? Should I start with programming? What suggestion would you give to those people?
I would start with statistics, yes, because statistics is the foundation of data science. You cannot become a data scientist without being a statistician, and definitely need to learn about how to understand the data. And I can start. I don't need to code even to learn that. I started learning statistics when I was using Excel. R came later on, R programming. I can perform standard deviation calculation, mean, median, everything on Excel as well. There are basic formulas you can enter and you can understand. You can create charts on Excel. You can take a small data and then perform those small tests of hypothesis testing and all. So it's very easy today to start learning. But yes, every model that you know of, it's a probability based model, right? It's trying to predict something, and the prediction is not it's doing out of thin air, right? It has learned something from the data, and based on the data, it's performing some probability calculation and telling you that, okay, I believe that this particular piece of text means that you are talking about, let's say, politics, and I am 90% sure. And that 90% sure comes from the probability calculation, right? So understanding probability needs to be one of the basic foundations of data science. But you don't have to be the all-time
pure statistician.
Pure statistician. You just need to know what is probability, what is standard deviation, what is variance, what is
what is correlation or regression.
Bias and variance trade-off, these basic things, right? And then these models are already built. Just go and explore, right? And then if you want to go deeper, you can go deeper in each model. What is a random forest? I can learn what a random forest is, but first is that I should know what random forest is able to do. It's able to classify a model, the input into some kind of a category, or I can use it for other use cases as well. So first from there, and then if I get more interested, why is a random forest performing better than, let's say, a logistic regression, then I will go and learn that, okay, why? Because random forest is doing a lot of aggregation and average, so it kind of removes those biases, and logistic regression is more like a linear equation, which is again transformed into some kind of a probability. So then you go deeper into it and then you learn. But start, using the data and build products is very important. Yeah.
Thank you, Sheel. I think it was a great time. I had a lot of fun, as well as I learned so much from you, and I really enjoyed the discussion.
Same here, Angad. It was very interesting. I couldn't realize that we have spent almost, I think, an hour. So it was a very fun conversation, very interesting, and I think you're doing a great job by having such conversation and sharing it with the world. So really appreciate it.